Okay, up next is codominance. So here we go. What is codominance? Well, different from incomplete, when you don't have a dominant trait and they blend, in codominance, you have two dominants and they both are expressed. So in codominance is where you typically see both traits expressed independently, like something that has spots or stripes, or it's just both traits are being expressed. Let's look at our question here and go through it. So in chickens, feather color is codominant. The two alleles are black and white. A chicken that receives two different alleles for feather color is black and white. It's not gray. Both traits are expressed. They're both dominant, so both show up. So let's look at this question. A black and white feathered chicken is crossed with one with black feathers. Complete a Punnett square for the cross and then answer the question. All right, here we go. Let's make a key. I've got a black trait. I'm going to use a capital B for black. I'm going to use a W. I'm going to do capital since it's dominant for white. And then my heterozygous is going to be a BW. And guess what it's going to be? Black and white. Not gray, right? Gray would be incomplete when they blend. This is codominant, so it's going to be black and white. So here we go. A black and white feathered chicken, that's first parent, black and white, so that would be BW, is crossed with one with black feathers. Black feathers is two capital B's. Complete a Punnett square for this cross. So let's do it. BW, capital B, fill in our Punnett, two capital B's across the top, and then BW's across the bottom. What's our question? What are the chances of producing a chicken with black and white feathers? That's going to be these two right here out of the 4. So we would say 2 out of 4 chance, which is 50% shot of getting a baby chick with black and white feathers, 50%. So you're working the cross for incomplete dominance and complete dominance both. You're working the Punnett squares exactly like you would work a dominant recessive monohybrid. The only thing that's different is in the heterozygous form, your traits are not masked. In incomplete dominance, they blend, making a brand new phenotype. And in codominance, they're both expressed. So in this case, the chicken has black feathers and white feathers. They're both expressed. Okay? Moving down to multiple alleles. Always, well, I shouldn't say always, but 9 times out of 10, whenever you're doing crosses with multiple alleles, it's going to be blood types, unless you're in a more advanced genetics class. So in our case here, multiple alleles, we're talking about blood types. So in humans, there are 4 types of blood, A, B, and O. What possible genotypes will produce the B's, the A's, the O's, and the AB's? All right, so here we go. In the ABO blood group, A and B are codominant. Okay, so A and B are codominant. O is a recessive allele. So O can be hidden by the A's and the B's. O can be hidden. Now, how you create your key can vary. I always create a key with blood types using the letter I because these traits are on what we call an immunoglobulin, okay, an immunoglobulin. So if I was making a key for A's and O's and B's, I would do, it gets a little complex. For simplicity purposes for you, let's just do letters. If you happen to see an I down the road, the I stands for immunoglobulin, and sometimes you put the A's and the B's and the O's on those. I'm just going to use letters to keep it simple. So A would simply be blood type A. B would be blood type B. AB would be blood type AB. And then O could be a variety of things. O would be simply blood type O, but it's recessive. I'm just going to write the word recessive there for O. Let's answer these questions and come up with the various genotypes. So what possible genotypes will produce type B blood? Well, we know B is dominant, so I could be homozygous B, or I could be heterozygous B. Now, if I'm heterozygous B, what's the other allele going to be? The recessive one. So O. Okay. What possible genotypes will produce A type of blood? Well, I could be homozygous A, or I could be heterozygous A and carry the recessive, which is O. What's the only genotype that will produce an O blood? Well, O is recessive, so it's hidden by dominant traits. The only way O is expressed is if you have an O. Okay? What is the only genotype that will produce AB type of blood? Well, AB. Got to have one of each. So here's our genotypes laid out. What could we have if blood types B? Two choices. Homozygous or carrier of the recessive. Same way with the A's. Two O alleles only exhibits O blood, and an A and a B only exhibits AB blood. So let's look at our question. I'm going to slide this up. Here comes the motion sickness. Sorry. Try to keep my traits here. No, there's got to be an easier way for that, but there we go. All right, in the 1950s, a young woman sued film star director Charlie Chaplin for parental support of her illegitimate child. Who's the baby's daddy? She claimed it was Charlie Chaplin and sued him. Charlie Chaplin's blood type was already on record as blood type AB. The mother of the child had type A. Her son had type O blood. All right, for you thinkers out there, you already know the answer to whether or not Charlie Chaplin is the father or not, right? Can you pick that up? Because the only way you can have O blood, look at our letter C right here. The only way you can have O blood is that if you have two O's, which means you have to get an O from your mom and you have to get an O from your dad. Okay? Well, Charlie Chaplin, my friends, was AB. He didn't have an O to donate. He is not the father. But let's look at this and get a visual of the Punnett square. Okay, because if you weren't able to see that right off the bat, work it out and find out. So, let's see. Create a Punnett square for the possible cross of Charlie and the mother. So it says the mother of the child had type A. All right. Now, it does not tell us if mom is homozygous A or heterozygous A. So you can do this one of two ways. You can just work two Punnett squares and assume, what if she is homozygous? Okay? Or what if she is heterozygous? Kind of the rationale that I explained before, knowing off the bat that Charlie is not the father. If the child has type O, the only way the child could get type O is getting an O from mom and getting an O from dad. So that means if mom has type A, she has to also carry the O. It's the only way the child could get an O. So we're going to do AO, heterozygous. Mom has to be heterozygous. She has to be. But if you can't see that, work it out. Do two Punnett squares instead of the one that I have for you here. Draw another one to the side and make her homozygous. Okay? We know Charlie is AB. The question tells us Charlie is AB. Charlie Chaplin's blood type was already on the record as type AB. So there's Charlie, AB. Okay? Fill in the squares. Baby could be type A. Baby could be type AB. Baby could be A. Baby could be B. But could the baby be O? No. Baby couldn't be O. Let's look at question B. The judge ruled in favor of the mother and ordered Charlie Chaplin to pay child support costs for the child. Was the judge correct in his decision based on blood typing evidence. Nope. Nope. The judge was not correct. Explain why or why not. Nope. Charlie would have had to, Charlie would have had, I was going to say Charlie would have had to have had. Charlie would have to have, let's say it that way. Charlie would have to carry the O allele to have a child with O blood. Charlie would have to carry the O allele to have a child with O blood. He does not. He does not have the O allele. Charlie Chaplin was not the father. And they didn't do their genetics very well, did they? This pre all the genetic testing and stuff, though, back in Charlie Chaplin's day. Okay, let's move on. Sex-linked. I'm going to give you motion sickness again and move on up. Here we go. Sex-linked crosses. Sex-linked means that these are carried on the sex alleles, not the autosomal alleles. So, you know, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. 22 of those chromosomes are what we call from somatic cells, or they're autosomal chromosomes, meaning both male and female have them just the same. The last two are the last pair, I should say. Pair number 23 are what we call the sex chromosomes, and this is the X and the Y. Females, 2 X's, males, an X and a Y, unless there's a genetic anomaly in some disease, syndrome related type issue. So in normal, we've got XX for female and then XY for male. Okay? XX female, XY male. So let's read, and sex-linked means that it's carried on the X, by the way. Sex-linked is the X. Put an X right there. That handwriting is terrible. I tried to put quotes around it. I'm just going to put a gigantic X. Sex-linked means it's on the X. It's not on the Y. It's on the X. Number 9, in fruit flies, red eyes are dominant and X-linked, which means they're sex-linked on that X chromosome. A white-eyed female fruit fly is crossed with a red-eyed male. Show the Punnett square and then answer the question. All right, so here we go. Red is dominant to white. So we can use our basic key where we can do capital R would be red, lowercase r would be white, because we have simply dominance and recessiveness here, red and white. But they're X-linked. So that means the R's have to be on the X. So we've got a white-eyed female fruit fly. All right, white is the lowercase r. I'm gonna draw my parents here. If it's a female, it's an X and an X. And if it's wide-eyed, it's got the lowercase r on it. So X little r, X little r. I'm writing them as superscripts on the X. So they're kind of up in the air on purpose. X little r, r is a superscript. X little r, r is a superscript. That is a white-eyed female. This is crossed with a red-eyed male. What's a male? XY. Okay? But it has red eyes. Red is dominant, capital R. Capital R superscript on the X. I'm not going to put anything on the Y because sex-linked is only on the X. Sex-linked is X-linked. It's only on the X. Okay? All right, let's do the Punnett square. X little r, X little r, X capital R, Y. Okay? All right, let's fill in the boxes. Should have Oh, I wrote it kind of large. I'm going to write small now. Okay, I've got X, capital R. Just because I'm putting dominant first, I'm bringing that big R down. X, little r. X, lowercase r, y. X, capital R. I'm just bringing that big R down first. X, little r. And then X, little r, y. There's my Punnett square. So that's letter A. Letter B, what are the expected phenotypes of the offspring? Be sure to include both eye color and sex in your answer. So let's break it down. You're going to have 50-50 male-female, but you may not have 50-50 red eye and white eye. So we need to look at this. So first block is a red-eyed female. Then we have the male. Next block is going to be a red-eyed female. And then we have actually we are 50-50 in this particular answer. So I'm going to have 50% red-eyed. Whoops. I can't spell I. Putting an X. Red-eyed female. And then put a percent, not 50 flies, 50% of the flies. And then 50% are going to be lowercase r with the Y, which we said was white. So 50% white-eyed male. Okay? Now, this question asked for phenotypes. Phenotypes are the expression. So it's talking about what color eyes they're going to have. And because it's sex-linked, you do need to distinguish the males versus the females. So in this particular cross, 50% red-eyed female. That is your complete answer. You don't just say 50% red-eyed. That would be wrong. 50% red-eyed would be like out of all the offspring, and it doesn't distinguish male versus female. So red-eyed female, okay, red-eyed female, 50%, 50% white-eyed male, because we're looking at the XYs, okay? Hopefully this review is helpful, working through this together. I encourage you to work these over and over again. The more you do them, the better you'll be. I have extra practice sheets in Canvas for you to work through and practice on. Please reach out if you have any questions or if there's anything you don't understand. You will be asked to, you know what? I'm sitting here saying the goodbyes and closing. I think there's a pedigree left. So I'm saying goodbyes too soon. So hold up. We got one more page to do for the pedigrees.